Welcome back to another episode of the I'm Not a Hater podcast featuring your favorite not hater, Mr. Brown. This is a very different type of episode. Probably one I should have been doing early on in my podcasting days. I say that like I've been doing it a long time. It's been actually a year. So when this airs, it's been a year since I've been doing podcasting. So that's a huge thing in itself. I didn't see myself doing it that long. Or this long I should say, or at the rate that I've been doing it. But here we are a year later, and I'm gonna give you a little bit of a look at me, the person, who I am, what I like, just a basically introductory um episode into who I really am. And like I said, I probably should have did this a year ago, but with my subscribers growing day by day, I guess it's any any time like the present to do this type of episode. So basically, I go by Mr. Brown, right? Or if you ever see my students, they call me Uncle Brown. Um, Basically from the Connecticut area. For those I'm right up at the top of the map, next to New York, New Jersey, etc. Definitely into all things sports and music. As you probably hear, most of the things I talk about nowadays is the NBA, WNBA, definitely football season. When it comes, I'm going to be talking about my favorite squad, the Cowboys. Yeah, it's going to be. If we don't get it together, y'all going to hear me rant about it often. Um, Definitely a music fan. I talk about all forms, R&B, hip hop. Even we could talk about a little jazz if it comes up. But definitely into all things music, all things sports. Like I said, um, you're gonna hear me talk a lot about education, obviously because I work in the school system in Hartford, Connecticut. So you're gonna hear me talk about that as well. Not really anything negative, but more so giving advice to parents and students to kind of empower themselves against the things that I see that might not be working in their favor or whatever, or just tips in general to help them get through the school year every year. Um, I really well, I guess to get to the point, right? I started doing this off of a video that was kind of, I guess you could call it, was made viral about a year ago. Um, and I really was just helping um, a young lady that named Dominique. I was helping her set up her podcasting equipment. So she has a podcast that's coming soon. She's it's gonna be dynamic whenever it comes. Y'all just watch out for it. I definitely will be reposting and showing love, because without her I wouldn't even be here doing this. So I was plugging in her equipment to show her how it works, because I also am audio engineer trained. Okay, went to school for it and did all that whole thing. So I was showing her how the equipment works, and just got on and jumped on and was like, "Yo, you know what? I'm gonna just do a um, quick little preview, like to show you what to do." And I just was like, "Yo, I'm gonna show you reasons why I'm not a hater." And then I just went into a whole bunch of things that showed why, in some respects, I can be a hater. Like, I don't like people walking up to me, talking to me, and I don't, I whatever you could think of that haters would say, I was basically saying. And I put it on I think I put it on Instagram, and then I put it on Facebook, and everybody laughed and kind of caught on. It was funny, and people was like, "Yo, you should do it." And I wasn't going to and truthfully, like, I still have reservations about doing podcasting even now. Like, I have to work myself up and tell myself, like, "Yo, it's working." Like, even though you don't think so, or it may not be a worldwide thing, it's working on some level. Like, you have to take it for what it is and just keep pushing. But I wasn't going to do it at first. It took some major coaching from people telling me that I really had something that I could say, or something to say. And I just kind of kept it that way. And the first couple episodes I did, like, I think I did like the school, um school episode was like the second one. I did an intro episode, but it's only on Spotify. But compared to where I am now, at that point, that first episode was terrible. I didn't even turn the camera on. I was like kind of nervous, and then I put like a whole bunch of effects on it. My voice sound horrible. It just was crazy. But you live and you learn. So yeah. So like my whole podcasting journey, it really started out as something that wasn't supposed to be that serious. But if you've seen my other episodes, it took on a life of its own. So I can't really sit here and say like, oh, you could just do it at your leisure. Like, nah, you gonna end up feeling like, oh, I gotta put episodes out in my brain. I gotta put them out. And that's kind of what happened with that. But it's been a journey. Like I said, I've wanted to stop a couple times. I still have those feelings. I just have to like downplay it and kind of do what I need to do at all points and times so that I don't quit, because now I know that people YouTube land, Facebook and Instagram, I know that they really are paying attention. So I kind of have to pump myself up and keep going. It's not easy, but it has to happen. I definitely try to keep the episodes short, to a minimum. I don't like to go too crazy, just because I know that people's attention spans are not that long. So you'll never really catch me unless it's like something that I feel is super, super important. It won't go past like 15 minutes, to be completely honest. Just because I know like at minute 7, you probably tapped out. You went off and did something else. You just, personally just letting it play at that point. So, you'll hear me talk a lot about, things that I'm fatherhood. You'll hear me talk about, like I said, education. You'll hear me talk about sports. You'll hear me talk about music. I don't really want to touch the relationship thing. I did it a couple episodes back, but that's not my forte. And just because I really feel like everybody else is doing it, and after a while it gets kind of redundant. We all gonna be saying the same thing in different ways, and you got the panels and everything else for that. So if that's what you're really into, I'm not really gonna do that, unless I really have it on my heart and mind to talk about it, which is hardly ever. So you won't hear me talk about it much. I'm more of a show you by example type of person. So if you know me and you know how my relationships go, that's pretty much what you're going to get. You're not going to get no internet grandstanding from me. I'm not going to show you how, tell you how it's done. I'd rather show you how it's done. And that's just how that works. It's definitely difficult. It's not easy juggling, podcasting and in regular life. You definitely have to, set aside the time for it. So I try to do that as often as I can. But like I said in my prior episodes, I'm now settled down to one recording per week, and put it out. You deal with it for a week or two or whatever the case is, and then we on to the next thing. I'm not going to drive myself crazy like I did before, because it caused a lot of issues. Burnout. I felt like I was doing too much, giving too many episodes at one time, and it didn't really. It left me, without a thought process. At one point I was just like, I don't know what else to talk about. I don't know what to label this episode. What am I saying? I'm just in here babbling, and then it's just like it showed, right? You get 1 or 2 views, and it's like, all right, nobody was catching on to that. What you talking about? But in truth, like, I'm really not a hater. Like, I'm really, really, really opposite of that. I'm very supportive to people. I show love. I'm just a hater on things that I don't really find, that I can agree with. But for the most part, like, I show you love if it's something that I'm on the wave with. But that's probably everybody, right? So we all got a little bit of hater in us at times. But yeah, I think my next couple episodes will probably focus on, some sports stuff. Like I said, with football coming back around, I'm gonna definitely talk about, like, the first week back at work. I'm gonna do that type of episode. I'm gonna get my son back on. If you haven't seen him, my youngest son, I should say, if you haven't seen him on this podcast, he has definitely grown over time and become very comfortable on the microphone. So I'm gonna get him on here too. Um, Probably during the school year, we're gonna talk about his, school year, how it's going, those type of things, because it's important. Um, to hear that from a child's perspective, right? We always talk about it from an adult perspective, and of course, that doesn't really, it don't really matter much because we working, but we're not going through it. We're not sitting in the classroom every day. We're not, basically having to deal with the whole, teachers teaching you, and you may not be feeling it that day. Um, so I'm gonna get him on here. I'm gonna try to get my older son on here too. Um, we're talking about music from his perspective. It's a lot that I'm going to be doing, basically. Um, but yeah, I'm into like a whole lot of things. Um, I'm just, I'm completely different from the person that you see on this podcast. Like off podcast, I'm very quiet. I don't really say much. It's kind of like a wallflower type. But once the mic is on and the lights are on and they're bright, I got something to say and I'm gonna say it, and then boom, shut it off, and then I'm back to being me. I felt like that was an important fact. I don't want people to think that I'm always on and always being, I guess you could say funny or saying funny things. No, that's definitely not the case. Um, I could be in a room and you wouldn't even know it. I could just be sitting there quiet. Uh, um, let's see. I think, I don't know. I never gave an overall goal for it, but if I had to, like, the overall goal would just to be, to inform, in a different style. Like some people are informative, but it's kind of boring. I want to be informative and leave you with a little bit of humor, a little bit of wit. Hopefully, hopefully you get something from it. If you laugh, that's great. If you don't, oh well, still get something from it. And that's just what it is. It just, I'll be honest, like I did not see me still being here a year later and doing a podcast. I really felt like it was going to be, I had it planned out. I was going to do like 5 episodes and be done. And the rest would have been whatever. Like, I think I was going, yeah, I had 5 episodes, and I was gonna knock them out at whatever points, and hang it up. Like, but I started buying more gear, and the more gear I bought, the more time I put into it. It just felt like, all right, I gotta keep going. And like I said, I didn't really think it was reaching people, but apparently it is. So I kept going, and now I'm at the point where now I'm just like, yeah, I gotta stay in the algorithm at all costs. So you do, like, you really become engrossed by it. Like, I gotta stay in the algorithm. I gotta stay on top. Not on top, but I gotta stay where they can see me visible at all times. So that's pretty much what happened. And this is pretty much all about me at this point. All I could say about me at this point. I appreciate, obviously, the people who have started following me, subscribing to me, YouTube, etc. Instagram, Facebook, always showing love. I definitely appreciate it because, again, it keeps me going. It keeps me focused as to what I need to talk about, what I need to say on a on a podcast basis. So once again, this is your favorite not hater, Mr. Brown. I appreciate all the love and support, and like I always say, peace and love. I'll see you on the next episode. I'm out.